The University of Bath is a The University of Bath is a very respectable university.
The IFY program helps us with things like presentation skills.
If you pass, there is a guaranteed space for you at the university.
Felt like the right decision for me.
Hello everyone, and apologies for that technical issue at the start there, and thank you for joining us today to discuss the University of Bath's International Foundation Year. So my name is Jess Bauer and I am the Recruitment Manager for the International Foundation Year and also for undergraduate Bath recruitment in specific markets. I'm joined today by my colleague David, who I will now let introduce himself.
Hi everyone, my name's David Young and I am the Learning Partnerships Officer International Foundation here, as it says on the screen. I'm very pleased to be here today.
Thank you, David. So in today's session, we will talk you through the University of Bath's International Foundation Year, starting with an overview of the programme and then a little bit about the City of Bath as well. We will mainly be focusing on questions today, and we have a list of frequently asked questions that we will go through along with your live questions that you send us during the session. So please do type your questions for us as you think of them. So to start with, an overview of the programme. So it's delivered by Bath College, and the University of Bath Foundation Year is a one-year full-time course. It has been running for over 20 years with students from a diverse range of nationalities. On the Foundation Year, you will target a specific University of Bath degree and study 3 relevant subjects to prepare for that next step. Progression is guaranteed if you achieve the published progression grades for your chosen degree. And additionally, if you perform really well in the IFY, you could receive a £2,000 progression scholarship for undergraduate study at Bath as well. So now for some key figures. So the programme currently costs £17,000 in tuition fee for the year. The deadline to apply for this year's course is the 5th of August. So if you would like to join us this year, you can find the application form and entry requirements listed on the website. The start date for this year's course is the 5th of September. As I mentioned, the IFY welcomes students from a diverse range of nationalities, and that is no exception for our cohort that we had this year gone. Out of the 41 students who joined us in our current cohort, 26 countries were represented from all areas of the world, leading to an international and diverse community on the IFY. The IFY students take 3 relevant subjects for their intended degree programme, one of which may be English for academic purposes, depending on assessment, and then the others will be subjects relevant to the chosen degree, such as physics or social sciences. In addition to this, you will also take Introduction to Higher Education Study Skills classes to prepare you for studying at the higher education level, and you will have regular tutorials throughout the year to monitor and to support you as well. Now, if you complete the IFY and successfully meet the required score for your degree, as I said, you are guaranteed a progression place to your undergraduate degree at the University of Bath. If you do incredibly well, you may be successful in receiving that £2,000 scholarship when progressing, and this will go towards that tuition fee for your first year. Now we move on to talk about Bath as a city and what a great city it is to be a part of and what a great city it is to live in as well. So where is Bath and where will students be living during their study? So Bath is in the southwest of England, and it is about 80 minutes by train to London and also just under 11 minutes on the train to Bristol. In terms of airports, it's easy to get to both Heathrow Airport in London and Bristol Airport from Bath, so very convenient to travel to. The city itself is a UNESCO World Heritage City, so a very historic city with some beautiful green spaces and beautiful old buildings to explore as well. Bath has also been ranked the safest university city in England in the Complete University Guide 2022, which can be really reassuring to know, especially when you're moving to a new country. And I always encourage prospective students to Google the city of Bath and have a look at some of the amazing events and images to inspire them. So please do that after the session today if you haven't already. And many of the IFY students live in the city centre of Bath in University of Bath accommodation close to Bath College building where their teaching takes place. And for reference, Bath College is about a 10-minute walk from the train station in the city centre and also about 10 minutes on the university bus up to the main University Bath campus. All IFY students are guaranteed an offer of accommodation at a residential complex owned and run by the University of Bath, so you can be confident about where you live during your studies. And plus, once students have completed their IFY, accommodation will also be made available to IFY students progressing to year one of their University of Bath degree. So again, you'll have that accommodation for that first year, the same as any students who are directly starting their undergraduate degree programmes with us. That's a nice confidence that you can have in where you will be living. Now, in terms of student life, students will gain access to all of the facilities at Bath College and at the University of Bath campus as well, including the library and the sports training village as well. The previous IFY cohort also enjoyed days out organised by the programme, including visits to the Roman Bath, Stonehenge, and enjoying a boat trip as well. So lots and lots of fun to have on the course. And we hope to continue to run these types of activities alongside your study in future cohorts as well. Students also get to experience multiple University of Bath campus days to get to know the campus and meet academics who will be teaching them in undergraduate study throughout the year. So finally, before we move on to questions, a few more Bath facts for you. So the University of Bath is a triple top 10 UK university in the UK Independent League tables, the Guardian University Guide, the Complete University Guide, and the Times and Sunday Times University Guide. The University of Bath also do really well in the NSS for student satisfaction with an overall score of 86% in the most recent survey results, which is great and we're very proud of. When studying your undergraduate degree at the university after your IFY, you will also be joining a large and diverse community where 1/3 of students are international that attend the university from over 130 different nationalities. So very supportive and welcoming space. So with that overview, that quick overview of the IFY to give you an idea of what it's like, we can now have a look at some of the questions about the International Foundation year. So I'm going to start by asking David some frequently asked questions and also having a look at some of your live questions that have come in as well. So David, our first frequently asked question is, when does the course start?
Hi, Jess. Well, the course starts on Monday, the 5th of September. That's when the classes start, and it's two semesters of 15 weeks. So one semester 15 weeks, and semester 2 15 weeks as well. So semester 1 starts on Monday, September the 5th. The contract for the university accommodation, which you mentioned for the IFY, that begins on Saturday, 27th of August. And so between those two dates, students can enter, obviously, their accommodation and have and take part in the college induction events that will take place up to the 5th. And the week beginning the 5th, as well as the first week of classes, there will be a university induction during that week as well.
Great, thank you very much. And also a key date to remember if you do want to join in on that is the 5th of August, which is the application deadline for this year as well.
Exactly.
So our next FIQ, before we looked at some of the live questions, is what is the structure of a day on the IFY?
Well, the structure is might seem quite familiar to you from school. It's Monday to Friday. It's basically 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, which is to say some of the lectures do go to 6. but within that, it's not a solid block of being in a classroom as you would get in school. It averages out to be around 21 hours of classroom time a week. The rest of the time, there will be opportunities for personal study, personal tuition, and obviously and other things, kind of special labs as well. So it is a structured week, and within that week, you will be doing a certain amount of hours on your 3 key subjects, your 2 major subjects and your minor subject, which is academic, will usually be academic English, which we can perhaps talk about later. But yes, so in each of the in each week, you would have a certain number of hours on each of those subjects, and that all leads to the end of semester assessment. And then semester 2 is very similar. That leads to semester 2, end of semester 2 assessment as well. I don't know if at this juncture we want to see kind of the structure of the course. If we want to bring that up, we can look at it on a more kind of general basis. But if not, then we could go on to the next question if you wish.
Yeah, of course. Yes, feel free to expand on the structure of the course.
Yes, so there's 3 subjects. The 2 subjects, all the subjects are dependent are the key subjects that will enable you to have the necessary academic tools to not just start your target degree at University of Bath, but really excel on it from day one. Certain target degrees that you would have on the University of Bath there wouldn't necessarily be any subject stipulations, so you have a certain free rein to choose which of your subjects. And when I say the subjects, there's a choice of 8. So the English for academic purposes, as we mentioned, the 3 sciences, physics, chemistry, and biology, maths, economics, social science, and business. So they're the 8 really core academic blocks, and those are kind of the academic intellectual building blocks of all the degrees that we offer here at the University of Bath. So you might have to have some stipulated when you choose your 3, or you might have some freedom to choose to select which ones you want. But I think you mentioned maths and physics perhaps for engineering. So if you take an engineering course, maths and physics are the traditional building blocks of that. So you will be taking maths and physics and then English as your minor subject. And although we call it a minor subject, it is studied all the way through both semesters as well. So both semesters you would take the 2 subjects, maths or physics, or whatever they are, and then the English, and then that repeats. At the end of the first year, at the end of the first semester, at the end of a series of coursework assessments, which go towards your semester 1 grade, there will be a week of examinations. But don't worry, there's revision classes leading up to those. And also in semester 1, in order to perhaps relieve some of the pressure of starting as an international student, and it's quite intellectually challenging course, you will have the opportunity, if you're not quite up to your progression level, to retake your semester 1 exams in any of those subjects in which you're lagging behind your progression grades. And so that will take place in semester 2. And there will be a specific set of revision classes leading to that. And quite often, if you don't do quite well in the semester 1 exams, the people do very well in the resits because of the way the revision classes are structured. And then, as I say, you're into semester 2 at that point, and that leads all the way up into the exams at the end. So you've been taking your coursework, but the major part of the assessment will take place in the last week of the academic term. But like I said, by that stage, you will be fully confident and really geared up, and you really will know your subjects really well. But so that's sort of how and yes, I think we can see here. So these are the subjects. I can't quite see. My God, my eyesight's not that good, but oh, great, thank you very much. So there you see. So don't worry too much about the credits. They're really kind of for us, really. But after the induction, as we talked about, there's a college induction, university induction, and there's a semester 1 exam week. But before that, you have the semester 1 tuition, and you have your English for academic purposes, and your major 1, your major 2, the intro to HE study skills, which is not assessed in the traditional way, but you do have to attend, and the minimum threshold is 80%, as it says there, and you will have to produce a portfolio of work as well. And you do need a pass on that, but that would be something that would be so fundamental and important for your development as a learner, then you won't want to miss those anyway. and also the personal tutorials, the one-to-ones, and also the group sessions as well. So those are kind of the basic structure leading up to the end of semester 1 exam assessment. But like I say, I don't want to minimize the amount of other assessment you get. Lots of varied assessment, presentations as well as essays, oral presentations, and listening assessments for English and things like that. So there's lots of diverse assessment available on both semesters. So if you feel that you're worried about exams, then there'll be lots of help towards those exams, but there'll also be other ways in which you can improve your score and improve your ability as a learner. So I don't know if that's going to prompt any questions, or perhaps we can move on. If you wish, Jess, we can move on to another question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And I think that brings us really nicely onto another question about support as well. A question we get asked quite a lot is students who are nervous about starting a course and studying abroad for the first time, which I think a lot of you who are thinking about a foundation course might be doing for the first time. So just can we touch a little bit more on the support side as well? I mentioned it a little bit in the overview, but maybe we could go into a bit more detail about the support offered to students in the college. Yes,
I mean, the advantage of it, a lot of international foundation year students in this country, especially the one that's especially the one such as ours, which is attached to what we would call an FE college, a further education college, is that the amount of the ratio between staff and students and the amount of support that those members of staff can give to the students in these FE colleges where you'll be based on this course is really enviable. It's a really good, a solid and committed amount of support, kind of committed support that you will get. I'm not saying it's going to be, you won't get any support when you get to the university, because obviously there's various levels of student support you get as well. But it really is a good year to take advantage. So if you're going to spend the first year of your academic life overseas, doing it within an FE college like Bath College is a really good idea, because you'll really feel it a welcoming bridge between the support you get at school and the support you can expect at university.
I think another thing that I witnessed when I saw the students from this year as well, with it being a cohort of 41 students, it is a relatively small program as well, which means that you get to know each other really well. So you get that kind of peer support built up, but then it also means you get a lot of time with the tutors because you are in that smaller cohort, which is really nice for that first year, especially with those kind of one-to-one interactions as well. So a lot of the students that I met had quite a lot of confidence and were really happy in Bath at the end of this year because they were in that smaller cohort. Whereas I know what you're saying, the university has a lot of support to offer, but you are in that larger group. So it's really nice to be able to take advantage in that IFY group of being in a smaller group and having that support structure there as well.
Sorry to interrupt, Jess. And certainly I would say the cohort itself is obviously a limited size because we pick the best because we want the best to progress to the university. But some of the individual subjects within that can be quite small. Some of the science ones can be quite small because, for instance, chemistry is not necessarily a stipulated subject for that many target degrees. Something like maths is, so there's more people that do maths. But what we do in the bigger subjects is that we kind of divide up the class. Well, Bath College divides up the classes, so you were never in a situation where there's 30 students and at one teacher, which perhaps is an impression you perhaps can get when you come to kind of universities and schools. But it really is a obviously not quite one-to-one. But there will be lots of opportunity for you to engage with the members of staff, and there will be room for discussion and room to grow as a learner and as a person. And obviously, you've also got the parallel one-to-ones with the personal tutors as well, and all the support mechanisms in place.
Great, thank you. And our next question that we get quite a lot is about progression from the IFY into the University of Bath. Upon completion of the IFY programme successfully, would a student need to submit an application to join the University of Bath, and how does that work?
No, if they're on the IFY, the only application you need to make is for the IFY, and that is what we would call a bespoke application form. So that's it. That's a unique application form It's an own system. It sits outside the UCAS system, which you probably are familiar with, which is the main way of getting into the university. So you won't have to go through UCAS. You can go through our own application system, and you only need to go through that once. And at the end of the IFY, if you've hit your progression grades, if you've achieved those, then we handle all the progression details. You don't need to do anything really, apart from when our immigration team get in touch with you, as the immigration team currently are preparing to do for the cohort who have just finished. Then they will give them some instructions on how to get another student visa. So, but apart from the student, if you're putting aside the student visa aspects of it, we'll handle everything, so you don't have to worry about making another application. We will set you up totally on the course that you've been spending all those months studying and working so hard to achieve.
Brilliant, yeah. So you just need to get your application in now before the 5th of August if you are applying for this year, or, you know, looking at that deadline for next year and making sure you know what that is when that time comes. And then just focus on getting your progression grades for the course, focus on studying, I think is the key message there by the sounds of it. And we've had a live question come in when we've been chatting as well about English requirements, which is, I have IELTS of 5.5. Is that enough for the IFY?
That's a great question. English language is obviously vital for any international course in the UK. 5.5 as a general score will be absolutely fine for all of the non-management target degrees. So for the non-management target degrees, an IELTS overall of 5.5, and with no less than 5.0 in each of the individual elements, you know, reading, writing, listening, that sort of thing. If you're targeting a School of Management degree, so that's something like BSc Accounting and Finance, BSc Business, BSc Accounting and Management, and the new course we have coming online in 2023, and International Management and Management with Marketing. Those kinds of courses, because of the high demand nature of the writing in some of those courses, especially in the first year, we have been asked to request an IELTS overall score of 6.0 in those target degrees, but just for those target degrees. So you need 6.0 with no less than 5.5 in the individual elements for those management courses. But for everything else, that includes other humanities-based courses like economics and social science, it's 5.5 with a 5.0 in the minimum, in the minimum categories.
Great, thank you, David. And also just to add, if you are wondering what degrees you can study, as I don't think we've covered that yet, if you got onto the University of Bath website and go into course search, you can see a full list of the courses that are offered at the University of Bath that you could potentially work towards in the IFY, everything from engineering to science to humanities to management as well. And that actually brings me to another question. Are there any degrees that you can't go on to after the IFY?
There was a couple that the University of Bath offer us for direct entry, which we don't offer through the pathway. But obviously, they're not offered through the pathway, so you wouldn't be brought onto those only to be disappointed. So we would not include those in any kind of in any application and admissions to the IFY. The main one is, in terms of international outlook, is probably BSc Architecture. We have a very, very high-ranking architectural and civil engineering department, and what we can offer in that very good department are some excellent options in structural and civil engineering, structural architectural engineering, and civil engineering. So it's more of the civil engineering aspect of it rather than the pure architectural design. Apologies if that disappoints some people who are looking to Bath to progress their career in that road, but that's probably the main exception. But like I say, there's some great holistic engineering and creative programs available from the architectural civil engineering department, and we have pathways into all of them, just not general architecture. Natural sciences is quite a minor degree, I would say. I hope they don't hear me if I'm saying that on the but we don't offer that for specific reasons of kind of core kind of core subjects, it just becomes a bit more complicated for natural science. And social work, applied social work as well. So those are probably the only ones. So two relatively minor ones, if I'm not being rude to those degrees. And I would say the major one is general architecture, architectural studies. But like I say, that's much more than compensated, we feel, for the wealth of other opportunities within architecture and civil engineering that we do offer.
Great, thank you, David. I think it's always great just to highlight that. So yeah, most courses at Bath absolutely fine. Just a couple there that you wouldn't be able to do the IFY for. And our next live question is from Arena. I hope I'm saying that correctly. From Jordan. So hello from Jordan. Will I have to go home after semester 2 to apply for a new visa to come onto my undergraduate degree at the University of Bath?
Well, I speak now from someone who's not a visa expert. From what I can gather, that is we believe that's the truth. That's what you would have to do, I'm afraid. It ends, the year ends in June anyway, and the semester 1 of your year 1 degree doesn't begin until the end of September. So there's quite a bit of time there as well, which you would probably be going home anyway. There are a few exceptions to this, certainly related to the recent issues we've had in Ukraine. But mainly, yes, you would have to have two student visas. One you apply for to get to the RFY, and then you would go home and then apply for another student visa for your main course, I would say, the main on-campus degree. But as I was kind of alluding to earlier, we would send you all the information, what we call a CAS statement, which was a certificate of acceptance from the university, which will enable you to process that student visa. So we'll give you all the information you need, but it would be a separate visa, which in most cases would indicate that you would need to go home and then apply for it as you would a completely fresh application.
Great, thank you, David. But yeah, as you say, you've got from end of June all the way through to September, so a long time to be able to do that, where a lot of students do go home anyway. So that actually, speaking of that transition from the IFY to University of Bath, I know we've got a very, very successful high rate of passes on that. But if for whatever reason a student doesn't achieve the required grades for guaranteed progression, what support is available?
Well, that's a good question. There's two ways really. We understand that we don't want to put all your eggs in one basket in terms of Bath. Sorry if that's that's an expression you're not familiar with, but basically you need to have a backup plan, basically, and the Bath College staff will help and support you with getting that backup plan by helping you with midway through the year with your UCAS application for study. So basically, just what all the other students are doing at that time, you'll be kind of encouraged to make an application for another university. So we hope that you won't need that application and that offer if you get an offer, as I'm sure you will. But what we need is, I think you need to be confident that if things don't pan out exactly as you wanted to at the end of the Bath IFY, there'll be somewhere another kind of route for you to immediately go to as an insurance choice, basically. So we find that kind of calms a lot of nerves as well. And very few people in the end do take that up, because our progression rate is so good and the teaching is so good, enables people to go through. But obviously we as well as that insurance thing, there is another what we call departmental consideration. Happens at the end of every year, which basically means that although if you achieve your stated progression grades, you go through automatically and guaranteed, absolutely no questions asked. If you, what we call, I suppose you would call it a near miss, if you don't quite get the 3 A's you need, the AAB that you need, perhaps you had a bit of trouble with one of the exams, there is still a good chance that you will be considered positively by the university. But at that point, it will be up to the individual admissions tutors in the receiving departments that's associated with your target degree. So it would be up to them. But they know the caliber of our students, and they deeply engage themselves in this consideration period. But like I say, so the main thing though is to kind of avoid that situation by really going for your target degrees. And I know there's lots of A's, most of them are 3 A's, and that seems very kind of forbidding, very kind of daunting. But it really is amazing how when the results come in, even if you've had a kind of perhaps a choppy start, the results come in at the end, and I'm always so gratified when we see how well students have done. It's a testament to the great teaching you have, and also the fact that we can see this academic potential in you if we make you an offer for the IFY in the first place. So head for those progression grades, and statistically you want a good chance to meet them if you work hard. But there's other things such as the insurance choice and the consideration period at the end of the year.
Great, thank you very much. So yeah, lots of support available there. And actually, we've just had a live question in on this topic as well, which is, what are the passing marks for the IFY?
Well, yes, I guess you might mean that. What would you mean to get an A grade?
So what does a pass look like for the IFY? So I think you mentioned AAB as the pass.
Yeah, so the passing marks, basically you just have to get an E grade, really, technically speaking, to pass. If you get 3 E's and a pass in the social studies module, which we need to attend 80%, that's technically passing the IFY. But obviously we don't look at it in those terms, because the whole purpose and design of this course is not for you to get 3 E's, it's designed for you to get 3 A's and to transfer to a really good undergraduate honours degree at the top university like Bath. So we are really looking at A's and B's and C's here, and hopefully just A's and B's. And an A, you would need to get, what we do is we give you a grade at the end of each semester. So for instance, if you're taking economics in semester 1, economics 1 unit, if you got 75% in economics 1, we would give you an A, because that's the threshold for an A. If you got 65%, anywhere between 65 and 74%, to be exact, you would get a B, and then it would go down there in gradations there. So kind of a C would be 55, and D would be 45. That's how we attain that. And then at the end of semester 2, it's this exactly the same thing. Economics 2, which is the corresponding, which is the semester 2 version of the unit. You will be you will achieve, if you get 75% in the end, you will get an A grade. 65, you get a B grade. Then we combine the two, because they're rated slightly differently, because we want to reward students' development and not put them under too much pressure, because we know it can be a high pressure degree course to start. So what we do is we give them weighting 40% in semester 1 and 40% in semester, it's in 60%, I do apologize, 60% in semester 2. So it's rated higher in semester 2. So for instance, by that I mean, if you get a high B in semester 1, but you get a solid A in semester 2, then because of the rating, that brings your overall grade and overall mark for the year up into the A category. So that's the way we look at it. So it's 2 semesters and then a final mark and a final grade, and it's based on ABCs, but it's not 70 or 60%, it's 75 and 65, they're the thresholds. So I hope that answers your question on that.
Great, thank you, David. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they can find progression in grades that they would need for each of the undergraduate degrees at Bath's website.
Sorry, yes, I think you just cut out a bit, but perhaps it was me that couldn't hear. But yes, there's a progression grade document that hopefully we can share in this meeting. But if not, it's very easily accessible from the Bath IFY web pages, and that lists all of the progression degrees and the corresponding progression targets. And like I say, if you hit those targets, no questions asked, automatic and guaranteed access to year 1 of those subjects, of those degrees.
Great, thank you, David. And we've had another question through as well, which is how to apply. So can I apply for UCAS or the IFY, or how should I apply for the IFY?
Great, well, thanks for that question. Yes, I mean, we do take pride in the fact that our application process is not just one application for both the IFY and then the target degree, but it's quite a simple application. So we feel, and the feedback is pretty good so far. Basically, it's one online form, and it can take, half an hour or so to fill out if you want to do that. To give you the basic information on the form, and at the end of the form, you'll be reminded that there'll be some supporting documents that we need. And then once you submit your online form to us, you will also get an email remind you about those supporting documents. So we need the combination of your application form to be submitted to the website and those supporting core documents. When I say these supporting documents, these are probably ones that won't be too unfamiliar to you. Because it's an international course, we do need a scan of your passport photo page and any corresponding visa or residence permit that you might have. Transcript, we actually do need a scan of your official school transcripts or certificates, and anything that authenticates your marks. We can't have them just written down. We do need them in that certificate form. And very important is a personal statement as well. And a personal statement can be, it's basically just saying why you want to apply for the course, why you want to target this particular, say for instance, mechanical engineering or psychology, when you want to do those, and how do you see your career developing after being in Bath. So it's wanting to see your suitability and how much you've thought about this particular route in. So there's only really 4 brief paragraphs, so it doesn't have to be too much, but it is important that you send that. We can't evaluate you without seeing that. And an academic reference as well, from a school counsellor, or a teacher, headmaster, something like that. Someone who basically knows your academic work. If you don't have I should also say your UKVI IELTS. So we did mention IELTS in an earlier question. If you have those certificates already, then please send them as well. In order for us to get a response, an outcome to you about your application, we will need the very minimum, the submission of your application form, your personal statement, and authenticated transcripts, translated, please. That'd be great. And all the rest of those things I've mentioned, if you don't have them to hand, specifically is the UKVI IELTS, which you might have to book an appointment to get, so you might not have them immediately. And also, you might be between passports, you might be waiting on your passport to be validated, in which case those and your academic reference, the school might not be particularly prompt in sending that out. If any of those things happen, that's fine. We can still come to a decision on your application. And what happens is that if we're in a position to make you an offer, they can be just part of your conditions. So please submit your passport. So that's basically, because a long-winded way of answering a very simple question, really, because it's really application form, supporting documents, and at the very minimum, transcript and personal statement. And with those 3 things, we can evaluate you, and then everything else we can let you know in the offer letter.
Great, thank you, David. So yeah, basically the application form, and also keep an eye on your emails for anything coming through as well. And if you do have any specific questions about the application, once you see it and things like that, you can see along the bottom of the screen there the IFY email address, which more than happy for you to contact, and also the SIUK email address as well, as I'm sure they can provide you with a lot of support on this as well.
Sorry, Jess, I should say, sorry, beg your pardon, I should have said that when we ask you to send in the supporting documents, that is how we want you to submit them, through that email address that was just scrolling down there, the ify@bath.ac.uk. So please send all documents that we request to that, and that would be the way to do that.
Great, thanks, David. We've had another follow-up question, which is, I'm doing my exams in 11th grade and want to apply for 2023. Great to hear that you're considering applying for 2023. Thank you for your question. So the question is, when is the best time to start that application process?
Well, it's a great question, and it's really good that we accept applications all the way through the year, but we always like to see early applications. It's always good to see a nice early application, and you can basically apply as soon as you want to, early on in that 12th grade cycle, the end of your higher school certificate or diploma year. We will like Jess has said, and as we've reiterated a couple of times, our applications for September 22 entry this year close at August the 5th, but they will resume for 2023 entry. I would say the end of September. We don't have exact date yet, but the website will inform you on that. But it's usually very soon after we don't have like a long break. As soon as one recruitment cycle is finished and we can get those people in, we open applications for the next year. So really, I would say from late September, October onwards, if you feel that you have sufficient efficient entry requirements to go for us, and even if you feel that some things are waiting, please get in touch with us and send an application. And if we need to give you some, if you need to provide extra material, then we will just put that in any potential conditional offer. But it's a really good question. The good thing about applying early is it gives you a long time to plan things like the UKVI IELTS test, which depending on your country can take a while to book. It's a particular type of test in a secure center. It's not something you can do online, and it sometimes is dependent on kind of the vagaries of international politics and things like that. So where things close. So it's good to do it early as possible for that reason.
And just to expand on that as well, just to confirm as well, when it comes to making that application. So what is you can make it from the end of September, start of October, but that you don't need to have all of your transcripts and your IELTS and everything ready when you apply. You can apply, get your conditional offer, and then provide us with your end of school transcripts and your IELTS, as long as it's usually before August with that September start. Is that right?
That's right. And it could be, that's exactly, and it could be that you actually, even if it's the beginning of the year, you could actually have enough already, depending on your school education system. You could already have enough. So for instance, if you're taking the English system of the GCSEs, if you've taken the GCSEs in the previous academic year and if you've done well of them, so if you've got a minimum of 4 relevant subjects at A grade or A star, and then you've then commenced your next period of study, so the next would be the AS year of the A levels, you can apply very early into that AS year, really as soon as you start, really, because that if you have very good GCSEs or IGCSEs, that makes you eligible for the course if you've then recommenced study after that period. So if you're applying in the next session, and also you can apply. Even if we do have to wait for your year 12 grades, we can still we don't necessarily have to wait until the end of the year to make you unconditional if we give you a conditional offer, because depending on for instance, Japan has ends their school year quite early, I believe in March, April time. So at that point, we would probably wait until the end of the year before we'd probably make a condition based on an end of year grades that were then published in March and April. But if you were doing a course that ended in July or even August, then we might say that's getting quite late for us, so we might be able to go by potentially we might go by kind of a mid-year, grade 12 mid-year period. So we might put that on the condition. So it might not be that even if you apply early, it's not like you would have to wait months and months and months into the end of the year. We could make you unconditional even quite a bit before that, depending on your academic system.
Thanks, David. And I am just aware of time, so I might just give a short answer to our next question, which is thank you so much. So you're welcome. I'm really pleased that you found that useful. Can I start in January 2023? So am I right in saying no, you can't start in January 2023?
Not at the moment, I'm afraid. No, it's just September. Is the only.
Yeah, so it's just that September, and so it'll just be that once a year in September that you can start. And then I think it would be really nice before we wrap up our session today to touch on a few questions that we get asked a lot about the city of Bath as well, being where you'll study. But if you do have any more live questions about the application or anything else, please feel free to still throw them in the chat, and we're more than happy to answer them as well. So the city of Bath, lovely place to study, and we get a few questions quite a lot, which might be worth addressing. The first one being, can I work while I study in the city?
Yes, absolutely possible. You can work. If you want to have a kind of a part-time job. There's not too many free hours because of the kind of very intense, challenge, I would say, schedule of the or academic schedule of the IFY. But certainly, we do have students that do that, and we're able to do it. It can be dependent on visa, so you need to check your visa. Visa kind of details and stipulations on that. But generally, yes, you can if you wish.
Great, thank you very much. And then also in terms of Bath as a city, we get asked a lot if there's international food available and things like that, especially for students who've just moved here, which might be nice to touch on as well.
Yeah, there's lots of, I think there's more restaurants and cafes per capita in Bath than any other UK city. It's because it's quite a small condensed city, and there's so many places to eat, and so many shops to go to buy food. And there is actually a very large international supermarket virtually opposite Bath College. Nothing to do with the course or Bath College, but they've set up shop there, and they have so many world cuisines as well. So you'll be really spoilt for choice. You won't have to worry about not getting the type of food you want, and also if you've got any particular dietary requirements, it's all available, as well as all the online ways to order food as well these days.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I think one thing I really like about Bath, it's very walkable because of the size of it. So a lot to do, a lot to see, and a really good day life, really good nightlife, lots of different activities to do in the day and night, and things like a World supermarket on your doorstep as well. So I know that's something that we get asked a lot, so it's always nice to touch upon for people moving here. Yeah, and we've had another live question in again about the application as well, which is great, so thank you for that, which is, do you recommend extracurricular activities for my personal statement? I'm doing some work in my gap year and want to come to the UK to study this year. Brilliant. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your gap year, and I think that's a great question. So
yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, we don't insist on it. It's always nice to read that, and it could be something that could be very important in terms of the overall thing. So if you've certainly done anything like that, please put it in. It's not particularly necessary, but if you have done it, please don't be shy about it. Please put that in. We'd love to hear about that.
Fantastic, thank you. And I think as well, things like that, even if it's not subject specific, it can really add to your personal statement in talking about why you're a good student as well. So as well as being really enthusiastic about your subject, you also need to be a good student, which means having your time management skills, your organization skills, everything like that, which I know those kind of extracurricular activities can really add to and create really good examples for. So I'll just add that as well.
Yeah. I could say any information like that could potentially feed into any kind of end of IFY consideration if we're going to the department's view. So it's always good that if you've got something that's kind of unusual and something like that, or something that really shows that beyond the classroom you have done this and that, then please put that in. It just doesn't hurt, and it could be very beneficial for you.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. And we're coming up to the end of our session now. So if you are typing a question, please continue typing. Or if you've got one on your mind and you're just thinking about asking it, please do ask it now, as we are coming near the end. And when we're waiting for any more to come in, I'll just go through those key facts again. So deadline for applying this year is the 5th of August. And if you have any questions or queries about that, you'll see the IFY email address just running alongside the bottom of this screen here. So please do get in touch. The application form is online. It's on the website to apply for. And then the start date for this year is the 5th of September. But as David said, you can the accommodation will be available to move into from the 27th of August if you are wanting to go with that university accommodation option, which again, you're guaranteed a residential complex being an IFY student. So do follow that process if that's something that you'd like to do. A lot of our IFY students make that decision. And then as well, if you are looking to apply for next year, we don't have that January intake, so it would be that September intake. And as David said, start looking on the website around September, October this year for when that application comes up. And do get in touch if you have any questions about that as well. Currently, the IFY is £17,000 tuition fee for this year. And then if you do progress onto the undergraduate at University of Bath, there is that guaranteed progression if you meet those progression grades, and there is that potential £2,000 scholarship off your first year tuition fee as well if you do incredibly well in your IFY. So I think that covers the key facts that you might like to know that we've gone through during this.
Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us for the session today with the University of Bath with Jess and David. If you've got any questions, there's a ticker tape running at the bottom with the contact details. That is the IFY email and also their number, so do feel free to contact them. You can also, I had a final question come through about how to apply. So you can apply via SIUK, we'll be able to help you, and I'll also put their email address in the chat after this, so do feel free to reach out to SIUK or directly to Bath and they'll be able to assist you. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. The session is also available on YouTube and we'll be able to send the link across to you. If you're interested, do drop me a private message via whichever channel you're watching it from and we'll be able to help you out. Thanks again, everyone, and have a good rest of the day, evening, wherever you are.